Welcome back to the Jeremiah Show. My very special guest today, Steve Starkey. Steve Starkey, producer on Forrest Gump. There's a couple events coming up I wanted to talk about with Steve here before we say goodbye. One is the 100th anniversary at the Granada Theater here in Santa Barbara. Beautiful theater. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe you know, Steve. Welcome back.
Yes.
Was the Granada? Yeah, was the Granada where they premiered Gone with the Wind?
I think it did. Not only that, Guys and Dolls. I think that, in the day, in the 50s, 60s, people would come, studios would come up here and premiere their movies. I mean, in this beautiful, I have a dear friend in town, Patty Delarmy, and she remembers going there when she was younger, going to the theater, and she talked about these beautiful seats in the back, and they had red carpets, and I mean, the Granada was a film showcase. And so it's wonderful. There was a great idea to celebrate the 100th anniversary, in addition to musical events and dance and other, live theater events with performing arts, is to have cinema. And so to have a series of Robert Zemeckis films, since he lives here, is great. And then, and so it's fun for me to honor the 30th anniversary of Forrest Gump and coinciding with the 100th anniversary of the theater that will be screening on August 31st at the end of the month. So I'll be there to tell a few stories to get people, to whet people's appetite for seeing the film without giving anything away, since there's probably a few people out there who haven't seen it.
Yeah. And I couldn't believe the price. It's $5 for the ticket. A centennial special price. Isn't that great? I mean, where can you go and what can you get for $5 anymore? Take the whole family. And you're speaking afterwards, question and answers.
Well, actually, I think I lead into it, and I'm doing the same thing tomorrow night for Rodger Rabbit, which was the first film that I worked with Robert Zemeckis on.
At the Granada?
Yeah, it's at the Granada. It's going to be Saturday night, tomorrow. And on that film, I was in charge of post-production and visual effects. At the end of the day, they called me an associate producer. And it was like my first, I guess, producing role on a major motion picture. So that's tomorrow night.
All right, at the Granada. Go to granadasb.org to get tickets and to check out the various events, but these are two great ones. I didn't realize you were there tomorrow night. I did know they had Rodger Rabbit, but I didn't realize you were there. Really great hour with you, Steve. Thank you so much. I have two questions just because I want to get them in here. But I'll probably only be able to get maybe a one sentence or two answer, if you don't mind. What was your best day on set on Forrest Gump? And also, what was your worst day or hardest day?
Probably the best day is I was the second unit director, and there was a shot where young Forrest is running up Oak Alley and he loses his leg braces, and in doing so, he looks up with this jubilant expression, like he finally has his freedom and he gets to do what he does best, which is run. And we got a perfect shot where we're looking there. You see the braces fly off and then come up to his face, and you see this big smile. So I was so proud of myself to show this shot to Bob. And I go over to where Bob is filming, which is Forrest at the gravesite for Jenny. And everybody's quiet. There's just nothing going on. And I crept up to the set, and there's Tom reciting this eulogy, this memory to her. And it was just so emotional and so profound. So on the same day, to have these two completely different experiences was, I don't know, it's a very memorable day on the movie.
Well, all right. You got to read more about this. You got to check out the book by Steve. Read the whole story. There's a lot of great stories. It's beautifully written. Stupid is as Stupid does. The Unlikely Journey of a Producer on Forrest Gump by Steve Starkey. Steve's been our special guest this hour. Check him. Definitely get some tickets for August 31st, 7 p.m. at the Granada Theater if you're in Santa Barbara, or make the trip up from LA or down from San Francisco, or just fly in from wherever else you're at. And Steve will open the film with questions and answers and a little bit behind the scenes. For the rest, though, you're gonna have to read the book. Steve, thank you so much for doing the show.
Here, Jeremiah, thank you. You're a real film lover.
I am. That is true. All right. We'll hopefully get you back for a second part 2 and dive deeper into this book and this story of Forrest Gump. Steve Starkey, thank you so much. Communicate, but listen more and evolve, and go see Forrest Gump. Have a great day.